Hey everybody, Mike Hansen back with another Bite Size Tech Plus for Vintage Viewers video. March 28, 1965 was a day that changed my life forever. It was my 9th birthday and my mom had saved up her S&H green stamps for an entire year. And if you don't know what S&H green stamps are, you're gonna have to look them up. Anyway, Mom and Dad sat me down at the kitchen table and my little baby sister was in her chair over here looking on with a big smile on her face, and Dad pulled a package out from behind his back and handed it to me, and he said, "Happy birthday, son. I hope you really enjoy this." So I started to open the package, and the minute that I got to the edge of the package, I could see it was that beautiful Kodak yellow. Don't ask me how I knew what that was, but I did, and this is what it was. It was a Brownie Starmite, something that I had actually said I wanted, but I thought I had no hope of getting it. So began a love affair that's still going strong after 60 years. Since that day, I pretty much always had a camera in my hands, and I've continued to be thrilled with the idea of committing the images of life to something a little bit more tangible than just memories. Film cameras have become a big deal in recent years, and if you're thinking about getting one, today's video will give you my 8 big things to consider when shopping for a film camera. So, let's get into it. Number 1, a big component of choosing a film camera starts with reflecting on why you want to get into film photography in the first place. Film photography can be a big commitment depending on your motivation to pursue the hobby. Cameras are all over the board, from very simple point-and-shoot models with limited or no complex electronics to much more sophisticated models with a plethora of electronic features. So before you dive into your shopping experience, consider what exactly you want to do with a film camera and be realistic in that answer. Will you be integrating a film camera into your life experiences in a big way, in a long-term way? Or will it just end up being a cool tchotchke collecting dust on your cool stuff shelf? The answers to these questions will determine your first steps in choosing your film camera. Number 2, consider the camera's film format. There are a lot of cool vintage cameras out there, but I'd recommend you choose one that gives you the widest latitude in film stock choices. And since its early use in still cameras at the beginning of the 20th century, 35mm film has been the predominant film format. Although large format cameras may produce some incredible images, your film stock choices are somewhat limited, and the film stock itself is pretty pricey. Additionally, there are some film cameras out there that use tiny film stock, like the Kodak Instamatic 110 cartridge. They have an extremely compact form factor, but the photos are way less than optimal given the small frame size. Also, buying 110 film and processing 110 film is pretty much extinct. I recommend 35mm, even if you end up choosing one of the new generation of half-frame cameras. Number 3, if you're interested in a vintage camera from the 70s, 80s, or 90s, do some research on total sales for the model you're looking to buy. Why? Because the more sales they generated when they were new means there are likely more of them available in the marketplace today. And more of them available today means a larger pool of parts for repair and replacement, which is an important factor, particularly with cameras from the dawn of more complex electronic metering. Number 4, get some knowledge about the camera you're zeroing in on. Download the camera's operating manual from one of those archived manual sites. All you need to do is search the camera's model, and generally you'll be able to find the manual for it. Familiarize yourself with the camera's features before you ever even get hands-on one. This will be invaluable when you actually are holding one in your hands, so you can check out and make sure that all the features of that camera are operating properly. If you're looking at a camera that does not have a battery, that has not been powered up, do not buy it. Now, you may, if you have a particular model in mind that you're zeroing in on, buy a battery for that camera so you'll have one with you when you check out the camera, so you can power it up and see if things are actually working properly. Additionally, research common problems with the camera that you're zeroing in on. This is important because it will let you decide if you want to take on the possibility of equipment failure that cannot be repaired at a practical price. For example, many Canon cameras from the 70s and 80s might be afflicted with a shutter squeak that is caused by the drying out of lubricants in the shutter and mirror mechanisms. In short term, this issue will not necessarily create functionality problems, but long-term use may actually result in a total lockup and some very expensive repairs. Note that there are literally dozens of YouTube videos that provide instructions on how to fix this very common problem. Take a look and see what you think. But if they look like they're a little bit above your capabilities, really think twice about buying a camera that's afflicted with this particular issue. One more very common issue amongst 35mm film cameras is deteriorating light seals. Light seals are little foam spongy guys that fit in the back of the camera that seal the back of the camera so that light doesn't get in and ruin your film. Check out what they look like. If it looks torn, worn, or if they're hard, you may need to replace those light seals. It's not a tough job, but you really do need to be patient about it. And there are, again, a lot of videos on YouTube on how to do that. So there are some repairs you might be able to do, some repairs you probably won't be able to do. Educate yourself before buying that camera. Unless you have a pretty significant level of technical skill, avoid estate sales. But if you do end up buying a camera from an estate, try to purchase it for as little as possible, because you'll have almost no opportunity to test the camera with the battery and pretty close to zero possibility of testing it with film. So you'll have no idea what actually does function properly on the camera. There could be blown electronics, bad shutter mechanism, stuck mechanisms, all kinds of nasty stuff. And I guarantee you that if you have to send the camera out for repairs, you will have a heart attack at the cost. So try to avoid that. I recently tried buying a Canon A1 from an estate on eBay, and the seller assured me that the estate had assured them that the camera worked great. I asked if it had been tested with a battery or film, and the seller said no, but the estate said it was working great when the person who was using it before was using it. Well, I have no idea how many years passed since that original user was using the camera. So buyer beware on estate sales, and if you don't have technical skills, skip it. Number 6, if you decide to purchase from a local private party, make sure you get hands on the camera before you buy it so you can test its functionality. I talked about this more specifically in the previous section on getting some knowledge about the camera you'd like to buy. There are a lot of scammers out there in the used camera department, particularly on Facebook Marketplace, so be careful. These folks will tell you anything to part you from your dollars. Number 7, choose which camera you may want to buy carefully and research its modern-day crossover versatility. Unless it's your paramount item in choosing, don't choose from an emotional or sentimental place. For example, my Canon A1 and Canon AE1, both purchased new by me in 1983, are, and I can't really put it any other way, pretty darn sexy for cameras. They harken back to a classic age of 35mm electronically controlled cameras. Their form factors are absolutely beautiful, and I love the feel of them in my hands. The drawback with them is that they are not only over 40 years old, but they're also filled with extinct parts and lenses from a now extinct mount system, FD and FL, seriously limiting your choices in lenses. But if you decide to choose function over form and look to some less sexy models, you may just live happily ever after with your choice. For example, I recently purchased a Canon Rebel G from Amazon for $129.99. It was renewed, bench tested for all features, and came with a pretty darn good return warranty. It is not particularly sexy in its form factor, but it's loaded with features like a pop-up flash, exposure compensation, autofocus, and a lot of other things that will make your film camera experience enjoyably easier. On top of all that, the Rebel G uses Canon's EF lens mount, which is still mainly in use today. The EF may one day completely go away, supplanted by Canon's R mount, but right now the lens choices are pretty plentiful. One quirky thing I found in this camera, and you'll find quirky things in cameras that you buy that are from the past, it came with a date back. But that date back would only mark my photos with a date, which I'm never going to use that, up to 2009. Pretty funny. Number 8. There are many reputable sources for purchasing vintage film cameras. Whichever one you choose, make sure the camera can be returned if there's a problem, and make sure there's a warranty on the camera. Buying from a real camera source may cost a few extra bucks, but your peace of mind, avoiding frustration, and not ending up with an expensive paperweight will be worth the extra dough. I've linked a few sources below that advertise a good return policy and warranty policy. I have not purchased directly from any of these sources with the exception of Amazon, but I have checked their reviews and their policies on warranty returns, and they look pretty good. So, good luck with that. Hopefully this video has given you some food for thought as you prepare to jump into the deep end with film photography, and I wish you all the best as you begin this amazing adventure. And I hope you love it just as much as I have all these years. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions while you're getting into the wonderful world of film, please leave them in the comments section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and have a super great day.